I'm joined today with Chef Dana Herbert. Chef, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You've come to Rocky Mount to give us a little bit of a tour about diabetic cooking, how to prepare healthy meals. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I got involved with the Diabetes Academy a few years ago. My brother's diabetic, my grandmother's diabetic, and I noticed they would come to the shop, maybe try to sneak a little something here and there. And so the light bulb went off, and I said, okay, well, with the fame and the notoriety, why don't I do something responsible and help my family at the same time? So I started kind of playing with some of the diabetic sweets, and then we started playing with their meals and so forth, how we could lower the sugars or carbs so that they could, enjoy a little bit of dessert.
Well, you're with Novo Nordisk doing the Diabetes Academy, and you mentioned the family members coming in sneaking sweets. You're a pastry chef.
I am. I am a pastry chef.
Tell us a little bit about you. I think you're from Delaware.
I am. I'm from Newcastle, Delaware. That's where my shop is. I live in Bear. But I went to school for both culinary and pastry, so I'm kind of like this dual-headed kind of chef, which is a little rare for our field. But I love it. I mean, I love making people smile and keeping their tummies full.
And you have a cookbook, Sweet and Savory. Tell us a little bit about that. You said the culinary and the pastry. How do you meld the two? How do you get creative in the kitchen by putting the two together?
Well, the Sweet and Savory Union, it was actually the title to my wedding because my wife is more on the culinary side. So we thought it was a perfect union, in the culinary world. And hence, that's where the title of the book came from. And it really depicts my style. I kind of blur the lines between sweet and savory. Say, for example, I'll take a beef fillet, and I'll rub it with coffee and a little brown sugar, espresso, and those sorts of things. Or I'll play with the dressings. Actually, one of the items I do for Novo Nordisk sometimes is a sugar-free chocolate dressing for a pear salad. So I kind of float back and forth, keep everybody guessing.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it makes for interesting dinners with your wife, since she cooks as well, trying to come up with who can come up with the most creative dish.
She does, but hidden secret, I try to play amnesia when I get home because she cooks really well, so I try to pretend like I only know how to bake. But
Well, you mentioned your family, and there's a line of diabetes in your family, and that's sort of being your inspiration. What's your inspiration when you get in the kitchen? Tell us a little bit how you started in the kitchen.
I really started in the kitchen. I always credit my grandmother. My grandmother can cook really well, and so I would just hang at the edge of her counter, whenever we went to visit, hoping, she'd give me the bowl from, or the beaters from the cake she was making, or the sugar cookie dough that's left over. And I guess that's kind of how I got started with food. And I guess you could say the light bulb went off in high school, and I just started making stuff. I came home, and I just opened the cookbook and just start either cooking or baking, to the point where my mom said, wait, you got to eat all this stuff that you're making. There's stuff all over the kitchen because I'm just trying it out.
And of course that led into you opening your own business, and then you were on Cake Boss a couple of years ago, where you were the winner of that.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience a little bit. Was that a jumping off point in your career, or was that just sort of the peak, the culmination? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I definitely believe, going on Cake Boss was definitely a catapult into where I wanted to be. I had done a little bit of TV before, some of the different challenges and so forth. But I think Cake Boss really gave America a chance to see Chef Dana. And it was funny, in one of the episodes, they had us cooking and baking. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is heaven. Like, I can do both at the same time on the same day. So I think it let America see what I could really do, and where my heart was and where my passion was.
And passion is food, and
Yes.
it's clear. Well, we're here today to talk about diabetes and the tour that you're on with Novo Nordisk. Tell us a little bit about, obviously coming from a pastry background, that's heavy in sugar, and when you think about diabetes, you think about sugar. And I think it's an interesting correlation between what you do and what you're teaching. And it gives you a really good ability to show and teach how to use everyday items and keep it where it's not going to affect you negatively. Tell us a little bit about that.
You're absolutely right. I mean, everybody, thinks because I'm a baker, everything I make has to be, laden with sugar. or laden with butter. But I guess joining Novo Nordisk and the Diabetes Academy, and just, for my own personal reasons, it really challenged me to say, okay, wait, stop. How can I help someone else enjoy what I regularly enjoy every day? So I started playing with, some of the different sweeteners, and then trying to figure out with some of the different fats and stuff, how to recreate some of the different items that I make.
Well, being in the South, there's two things when it comes to cooking, and I think it's routine and lots of flavor. And of course, those flavors are heavy with salt, meat, fat, sugar. What's some advice that you would give to someone who is, maybe has diabetes in their family, maybe has diabetes, and they're trying to figure out some different alternatives? What's some advice that you would give them?
Right. Well, just like with my family, we have a fair amount of family members who do have diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2. And so some of the things that I focus on is, number one, moderation. That's just key. If you can handle that and get that under control, what is a real portion size versus, going to the steakhouse and having, this slab of meat on the plate. If you can grasp or get your mind around what real portion sizes are and what your body needs, that would be step number one. And then after that, I kind of look at my carbs and say, okay, am I going over? Am I not? Where can I, if I want to, cheat a little bit and take away from somewhere else? But that's where I start.
Okay. And what would be a message if you're talking to the people today? What's your message, overall message, trying to get out to the people that will be here today?
Really, my overall message is I want to see people live a long and healthy life. And it's whether you have diabetes or not, doing things in moderation is what's going to get you there. Being mindful of what you're fueling your body with will help you live a longer life.
Well, Chef, we certainly appreciate you joining us today, and we know it's going to be a successful event. We're looking forward to seeing the crowd here today, and we know there's going to be a lot of great information that you're going to put out. I'm excited because I like to see what you do. It's not over the heads of people. It's practical, everyday things.
Exactly.
Give us a sample of what some of the dishes you're going to be fixing today.
Well, you nailed it on the head. I don't make anything overcomplicated, because if it's overcomplicated, no one will ever get it. I could show off as a chef, but it's not going to make sense. Today, we're going to make this awesome cabbage and jicama slaw. It's going to be the base or the palate for the salmon. It's a seared salmon with a simple orange sauce. We sweeten it just a little bit with Splenda. And then we're going to do a different take on spinach. We're going to do some pine nuts, raisins, a little balsamic. So just a little twist from what you're used to, but full of flavor. It
sounds delicious.
Thank you.
Healthy habits, developing healthy eating habits, getting to a place to where you can still enjoy food, but maybe make some changes in how you eat. Not cuts, but make some changes is the key. And we appreciate you here today showing us how to get to that place and some practical things.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing your presentation.
All right. Can't
wait. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, everybody like salmon? Yeah? All right. Spinach? Oh, this is a good group. Good group. All right.
Healthy group.
Yes, I like them.
Healthy.
True story. I used to hate spinach when I was growing up. My mother used to almost have to coerce me to eat it, and I'd always tell her, I'm not Popeye, Mom, I'm not eating that. and now I love it. So your taste buds change over time. All right, so the first thing we're going to make today is going to be our slaw. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the dressing for it first. But before I do that, if you guys do have any questions, you can raise your hands. Krista would be happy to field them as we're working. I want you guys to feel like you can ask anything you want to ask while we're up here doing our thing, all right?
All your food questions are welcome. Anything you want to ask. You've got a free CD here in front of you to help you get through this.
That's it. That's it. All right. So for our recipe, the slaw, the first thing that we're going to make is the dressing. Now, it's really simple, really easy. I have some rice wine vinegar. I have a little bit of sesame oil. We're going to add that to the bowl. We're going to add a little bit of honey. Now, I'm using honey. Anybody know why I'm using honey? These guys are good. Have you guys been watching tapes?
I
All
think
right.
they've all been to one of Carolyn's classes before.
Yeah. All right. And it raises your glycemic index slower. So that is good. So we're going to add a little bit of honey here, just about the equivalent of a tablespoon.
Does everybody know what glycemic index is? Is that a new word? Okay, so glycemic index is how fast that carbohydrate raises your blood sugar. And ideally, you want to find those food items or use those in your cooking that have a lower glycemic index so that your blood sugar rise isn't so high and so fast. So you will hear a lot about, low GI, high GI foods. Yes? I was just going to mention, as he said, honey, you're a great student. Agave nectar is another wonderful plant-based sweetener that you can find in the cooking section with a low glycemic index. Great for sweetening oatmeal, yogurts, things like that.
Yeah, I love agave. Agave is one of my sweeteners of choice. I use it in baking, cheesecakes, all that sort of stuff. Really good. All right, so what I've added to our rice wine vinegar, our sesame oil, I've added some ginger, freshly chopped, and I've added some sesame seeds. And we're just going to give that a little mix along with that honey. We're going to add a cup of orange juice.
Now, is that regular orange juice or?
Regular
okay.
orange juice. I prefer the freshly squeezed. Grapefruit juice, about a cup. I know you guys are wondering, how do you know that's a cup and how do you know that's this? It's this little count that we picked up when we were in culinary school for different liquids. Different liquids pour at different rates. So it was about a cup. So we've made our dressing here really simple, really light, lower in fat than some of the creamy coleslaw dressings that you see. And we're going to let that hang out for just a second. To that, we're going to add just the hint of salt and pepper. One good note when you guys are cooking or even when you're out eating, taste your food first, because we're in the back adding salt and pepper automatically to the dish to make it as flavorful as we can before it comes out. And my dad, he was always notorious for, my mom would make something, he would just I'm like, you could always leave the grapefruit juice out. And you could use just orange juice if, say you're on a medication where it reacts with orange juice and you can't have the orange juice. You could go with just grapefruit, you could go with lemon, you could go with lime. It's a pretty versatile recipe. All right, so to this recipe, we're gonna add some cilantro. Everybody like cilantro? All right. Did I hear no? Who said that? You're supposed to say yes, chef, in the kitchen. All right, so if you don't like cilantro, you can just add a little bit of parsley, okay? Today we're gonna add a little cilantro. All right. And now to this, my favorite parts. Let's go for color. When you're getting color in your diet, you're doing the right thing. So we got a little red, we have the yellow, we have the purple from the cabbage. So you're getting all these wonderful vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. We have some green cabbage. Here I just used Napa, but you can use regular green, Savoy, whatever your preference is. And then I'm going to add a little jicama. Everybody know what jicama is? All right.
I don't even know what it is.
No? All right. Jicama is a...
Is it a southern thing?
It's, well, a lot of them come out of Mexico. It's like, the easiest way to describe it is kind of like this cool cross between a potato and a pear. Like when you eat it, you catch this little bit of sweetness, but it does have some starch qualities. So in this dish, this is where the starches are coming from, the juice and the jicama. All right, but it's versatile in that it'll pick up any flavor. I even use it in desserts. I marinate it in mint and things like that when I'm making desserts. Here we're going to marinate it in the dressing. So as you can see, we have all kinds of color going on in the bowl, and that's what you want for your diet.
Because what do your doctors tell you? White is not right, right? White is not right.
All right, so here we're going to let that hang out for a minute, and we're going to move on to the salmon. Now the salmon is really easy. Now if you're not a salmon eater, And you just said yes just because I'm up here because you wanted to make me feel good. You can always make chicken, shrimp, scallops. A dish like this, it'll go with most proteins. So today we're going to do the salmon. And I'm just going to cut this piece in half because it's a little big. All right, so we're going to do our salmon. I like this one just for an example, has the skin on it. So we're going to go skin side down so that we can render out some of the fat in the skin. I like to make it crispy. It's going to take maybe about 4 minutes on each side, 4 to 5 minutes. And while that's going on, we're going to work our spinach. All right, so as you can see, our pan is smoking hot. And we're going to add spinach to it. Anybody know why I like a smoking hot pan? No? Okay. When you cook with a hot pan, especially when you're using a fat, the food is, quote unquote, cooking on top of the oil. It doesn't absorb the oil as fast. If it was a cold pan and I poured cold oil in there, the food, whether it's salmon, spinach, it just sucks the oil up like a sponge. Okay, so we are wilting our spinach here. And as you know, spinach wilts down to almost nothing.
I know.
That was correct. I put a little bit of oil in the pan, and then I put a little bit of water just to help the wilting process move along. So to our spinach now, we're going to add some balsamic vinegar. We're going to add some raisins. Now, for those that are counting the carbs,
I heard a.
I know it's a dense fruit, so be sparingly, or use it sparingly. So we're going to add a little touch of raisins. That's just going to give it a little bit of sweetness. And we're going to give it a little bit of a nutty flavor, and we're going to add some pine nuts. My wife. You can if you don't like pine nuts. I also like pecans in there as well. Walnuts are good. My wife always teases me. She says, how come you cook all the good stuff on the road, and then when you get home, you play amnesia when you get in the kitchen? I'm going to slide over here and flip my salmon. There we go.
Smells good up here. Smell
I
anything
know,
up
I'm
there?
getting hungry right now. All right, so we got our salmon going. It's going to be about 4 minutes or so for that. Our spinach is almost done. I'm at the point where I'm almost ready to kill the heat. That's what I love about these induction burners. You guys used to induction? You want to see a cool trick? All right, I'm going to show you. We're going to do it with a single. How about that, just in case? Not a 20, not a 20. All right, so dollar bill. We're going to cook on that single. We're going to pull the dish together, and we're going to make it look just like, you know, you were in the kitchen forever, so you can impress your friends. We're going to do it just like the restaurant. We're going to put that there.
A fancy restaurant.
Yeah. And we're going to put our salmon on top, and we're going to let that hang out for 1 second. And
So any reason why you serve it skin side up?
I like to serve it skin side up just because it's got that little crispy skin. That's just my preference. All right, so we're going to add the orange juice to the pan we just cooked the salmon in. And we're adding it to that because we want to what? There you go. You want to get the flavor that was in your pan already. So you guys are chefs, I'm telling you. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the cornstarch and my Splenda, and I'm going to mix it around. And basically, I'm going to do this just to break up the starch molecules in there. Almost like when you're baking sometimes, you're making different creams. You mix the starch with the sugar. Same principle. And we're going to add the fat-free half and half. Now, that one threw me off when I first heard it. I'm not going to lie. I said, fat-free half and half? How'd they pull that off? But I was reading the labels. It's not bad. Not bad. The only thing sometimes you have to watch for, and whether it's this or anything else, check your salt content, because sometimes with fat-free stuff, they'll try to sneak some salt in there to try to bring the flavor up. So just double check your labels. Same thing your doctors tell you.
And also bring up the carb level. If you're pulling fat out, they might add sugar. So that's the other thing to look at. So low fat isn't always the best.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to add that cream to our pan, and we're going to let that bubble for a second, just so that'll come together. If you want to give it a touch of sesame seed, you can right here, just to give it a nice little flavor and look. Look at that, huh? Did my dollar burn up or what? All right, don't try that at home, though. I'm not responsible. No, but that's the secret to induction pans. They react with the pan, and that's what the pan heats up, and not necessarily the burner itself. All right, so we're going to add some spinach to our dish. We're going to put that right there. And we are going to put a piece of Romano cheese or Parmesan cheese right there on the top. And then last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of our sauce here. All right, looks good.
Till it bubbles, how many minutes was that? Just a few?
About 2-3 minutes. Really just giving it a chance for the cornstarch flavor to cook out of the pan. All right, I'm going to turn off the heat, and we're just going to give it just a little drizzle right over the top. Just like that.
Wow.
And that is a seared salmon with the spinach and cabbage and jicama slaw. What do you think?
Looks excellent.
And it's perfect for summer. It's light. It's not heavy. And again, switch the protein up on day number 2. If you have some slaw left and you're like, I don't want salmon tomorrow, switch it to chicken, shrimp that are in the dish. Yep. And this is actually, I don't know if you guys have seen these before, but these are like portion plates. Have you guys seen these? Yes. Some have, some haven't. All right, so I'll show you real quick an example with this dish. Everybody know what sections are which? No? Okay. What's the big section for? Oh, see, I couldn't even.
Non-starchy vegetables.
Look, I couldn't even fool you guys. I was going to throw macaroni and cheese in there, but you guys are already on it. Okay, right. So big sections are for your vegetables and your grains. You'll see some portion plates have 4, some portion plates have 3, but know that the larger section is for your vegetables and your grains. So in this case, we're going to put our spinach right in there. And my dad, he has one of these. And I had to teach him how to use it. I know we don't use the word in our field, quote unquote, pre-diabetic. Either you are diabetic or you're not. However, he has some signs that are leading us to believe that he may become diabetic. So we got him the portion plate, and we're teaching him how to use it. And I'm like, Dad, just because it has sections, you can't go up and out the confines of the plate. So, as they say, make sure you know your portion sizes and so forth. But I'm serious, that's what he was doing. He switched to all the good cereals, but then his bowl size got bigger. I was like, Mom, he's unbelievable. But he was trying in his mind. So we just had to tighten him up.
Small changes.
Small changes, yep. A little bit at a time. Too much, you don't get it. So, and here we're going to put, where the fruits are, we're going to put our other vegetable. And that would be it in the portion plate.